It's great to see everybody. We got a solid group tonight. We're talking about some good stuff. We're talking about strength training tonight. The topic is how to get physically stronger, which I love this topic. So before we dive in, I wanted to remind everybody that this Thursday is the mindset workshop. So mindset, this is anybody can attend this. Any Fitme client can attend. It's a private workshop just for Fitme clients. This is the original 8-week program mindset materials. So if you never went through that and you would like to go through it, instead of doing it over 8 weeks, we're going to be doing it in 90 minutes. And so it is a workshop. The intention is that you kind of get to like think about stuff, write it down as we're going through it. You're doing the work of the thinking / homework during the actual time that we're doing it. So if that helps you plan, I mean, certainly you could always catch up and do it after the fact, but I find that tends to be harder to do if you've got lots of life and, work stuff, kid stuff, pet stuff, normal obligations. If you're going to set aside the time to attend, also set aside the time to be able to like do it with us. I mean, again, you can multitask, but this mindset material will be very valuable to you. So it'll be worth your attention if you can swing it. And if you are getting ready to go through mindset 2.0 stuff, this is just, it's different. It's completely different material. So you are welcome to do this also if you like, but you do not have to. So that's this Thursday. Okay, let's get right to it. Our topic this week is how to get physically stronger. So I guess before we get into it, I guess I want to know, does anybody want to get physically stronger?
Yes.
Okay, good. We got Sarah said yes. Julie said yes. Teresa said yes. Tell me a little bit about what getting physically stronger would mean to you. Like, just give me a quick example of something you want to be stronger at or able to do.
Squats and lunges that I can't do now.
Okay. It's a good one, Julie.
Climbing mountains.
Okay. Teresa said being able to do life easier.
Yeah.
I'd like to do, chaturangas in yoga when you're like coming down into a push-up and then going back into down dog. It's just a move that's really freaking hard. And I would like to be able to do that easier.
I like it. It's a good one. So we've got a mixture of kind of like traditional exercise things like squats, lunges, those sort of activities, and feel stronger at those. Some just doing life stuff, climbing mountains, specific movements and yoga and those kind of things. Anything else?
Yeah, it's Virginia. I want to do a pull-up. I watched you do, Christy, that video of the pull-up. And you had George like grabbing your ankles. And I was like, I want to do that.
I love it.
You were so badass. I was like, I want to do that.
Okay. I like it. I think that's and you can do that, Virginia. You just can work towards it and you will be able to do it. So let's talk about how. That's going to be the fun topic on today's call. How do we get physically stronger? I want to break it down really simple. There's more than one way to skin a cat, by the way. And physical strength isn't as simple as some people think it's muscle size. So muscle size actually doesn't necessarily correlate to strength. That's a myth. So we think like big old, bulky muscles correlate to strength. But that's not necessarily true. It doesn't mean they can't be very strong muscles if they're big. Strength also has to do with our brains. So for example, have you ever met someone who used to be a gymnast as a kid and they haven't practiced or done anything in that category in a really long time? And then you're like, here, do this thing. And they just like bust out some sort of random handstand or round off or something. And you're like, how is that even possible? You haven't done it in 20 years and you're you're not even doing that anymore. There's a brain thing there that has to do with strength. So like motor patterns and how our brains and muscles connect that actually have to do with strength. But if you've never, let's call it like you've never laid the pathway before, or you've laid it before, but it's been a long time and it's not there anymore. How do we get stronger? Well, we actually need to have our muscles contract and go through whatever motion it is that we're trying to do and create an adaptation. That's how we get stronger. So for example, if you do one air squat, you probably won't feel sore or anything the next day. But if you did 50 air squats and you haven't been doing any for a long time, your muscles are going to actually have small little tears in them because you're going through the motion using your body as a weight. Your muscles are going to get small little tears in them. And then when you go to bed at night, you're going to sleep, you're going to eat food and that nutrition, and then your body's going to do all of its magic that it does, repairs those muscles, and your muscle adapts. It adapts to that and lays down new tissue. Our brains have learned what we just did, and we actually are better able to do it the next time. So that's a simplified way of thinking about this. So in order to get stronger at doing something, the very first thing you need to know is that you're going to have to do it more than once. You actually might even have to say that you're going to do it consistently over a particular time period. And I like to think that minimum time period is going to be 8 to 12 weeks to really get stronger. So for example, if you're like, let's pick something like really straightforward and easy to understand. Like you want to be able to squat. Not only do you want to be able to do regular air squats, but you want to be able to squat with weight. You want to build that up. You would want to spend, 8 to 12 weeks on it to really get your muscles to adapt, to recover, because the recovery process and that adaptation process really can't happen in the pace that we want it to happen, which is like super fast. So step number 1 is to pick something, some program or some method that you're going to do for 8 to 12 weeks for whatever it is that you want to get stronger at. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions about that part? Because I feel like we have to start with the most straightforward piece. 8 to 12 weeks and doing something consistently. Now, does it mean that we need to do it exactly? So like, for example, to get a pull-up, does it mean that we need to be doing our best max attempt at a single pull-up over and over again for 8 to 12 weeks? No. The answer is no. Oftentimes we need to do a variety of exercises that support that one particular thing we want to be able to do. And so muscles work together. They almost work like in concert to help us do things with our body. So we usually can't train just like one muscle. That's kind of why that's one of the downsides to equipment in like using machines at a gym. Totally fine to use machines, but one of the criticisms of machines at the gym is that it isolates muscles, which can be a good thing, right? Like if you're recovering from an injury or if you're trying to isolate muscles because you want to specifically focus on the area that's weak. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't tend to like build that functional strength where you're like the things that you guys all talked about that you want to do. That can be one of the downsides of using machines at a gym. But they can be very helpful in some ways. So you need a consistent program. You need to give yourself enough time. And then now what needs to happen inside of that program? We actually want to progressively make it harder over time. This is the key, right? Because so week 1, maybe you're doing a squat and you've got 35 pounds. And then week 2, we come back and we do the same exact number of reps, but this week we're doing 45 pounds. And then the next week, we're going to come back and we're going to do 55 pounds. And then in a good program, you typically have a back off week. So maybe this back off week, you jump back down to 45 pounds. And then you go again. But this time we're starting at 45 pounds. Now we're going 45 pounds. Then the next week, 55 pounds. And then the next week, 65 pounds. And then you have back off and you go again. And by the end, you are stronger at whatever the thing is. And then how do you know, again, without weights, that you are making it harder? Does anybody know the answer to that?
Are you asking? Oh, it's loud in here. I'm going to mute. Never mind.
Let's see if you can channel to Sarah what you were, because Sarah unmuted, and let's see what Sarah says.
Your tempo.
Tempo's away for sure. Speed is away for sure. There's a pretty simple way to kind of tell if you are in the right range of like, I'm going to get stronger at this particular exercise. In training or in, I don't know, like in your personal training education materials, for example, they talk about the perceived rate of exertion or how hard something feels. Usually when we're working on an exercise, and this is really important, we want to be able to do some number of the exercises. And so usually that first couple shouldn't feel like insane. It shouldn't feel impossible. But maybe like if you're going to do a set of 6 or 7, maybe reps 6 and 7 feel pretty darn hard. And then if you're doing 3 sets of 6 or 7, that third set, you're not sure if you're going to finish that last rep. It might feel hard. That's the kind of thing where you know, okay, we're actually getting stronger. So one of the mistakes that I see get made too often with strength training is that we don't actually make it harder. We find like, okay, like I'm doing this thing and I found this routine and I'm just going to keep repeating that routine. That'll work for a little while, but we have to continue to make it harder in some way. And Sarah suggested one of those ways is actually adding a tempo. You can make it harder. You can make it harder by adding weights. You can make it harder by changing the repetitions. But you actually want to make it harder in order to get stronger, to create that change that you want. It's not that easy actually to mentally do that on your own. That's why having a program that's written out or having a trainer even telling you like, hey, one more rep, kind of pushing you is why it's potentially why that's very helpful. Linda, did you want to add something? I didn't want to, you don't have to unmute. I know you're driving. I just thought I saw your hand.
No, that must have been me just making hand gestures as I'm driving. I just popped on, so I don't even know what we're talking about.
Okay, well, perfect. We're talking about how to get physically stronger, and I know you know about this. So that's why when I saw your hand, I was like, I wonder what she's gonna add. So we basically, for a quick review, we said that in order to get physically stronger, we have to do exercises repeatedly, different exercises to support what we want over 8 to 12 weeks. And we've got to make it harder progressively as we go. Teresa, you wrote getting sore. Getting sore can mean that you are doing things right, but you don't have to get insanely sore. And you don't always have to be sore to be on the right track. So it's pretty typical if you're doing something new and you haven't done it before that you're going to feel some muscle soreness. The right range of muscle soreness should be that it should resolve in, 1 or 2 days. That's about right. If it takes a lot longer than that, you might have overdone it. And that's okay. But just for the like general knowledge, 1 to 2 days of soreness is pretty normal. The better you sleep and the more quality your nutrition, the faster your body will recover and you'll feel less sore. So good question, Teresa.
Are you saying that you have to feel sore in
No.
order to? No. Okay.
No,
Thank you.
you just typically people feel sore,
Okay.
especially if it's brand new or really mixing things up, then you would probably feel sore, but you don't have to feel sore to be getting stronger. So I don't want to, I mean, we could spend an entire degree at college talking about this, you know? So what I want to use our last 10 minutes for is specific questions for you guys. I want to hear what questions you have around strength training, around how to get stronger. And that way we can tailor this last part of this conversation to what's on your mind.
I have a question, Christy.
Yes.
How much weight should you start? Like, I have 2 and 3 pound weights just to start out with. When do you know it's time to increase your weight?
When it feels easy. When those last repetitions. So like what I was saying, like if you're going to do 3 sets of 8 and you've done all 3 sets of 8 and it felt easy, it's time to go up.
Okay.
Those last couple of repetitions, specifically in your last set, should feel hard if you're trying to get stronger.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean you have to go up in weight. Like if you can't get new weights, you can add more reps or you can go quicker, like what Sarah was saying with tempo.
Or slower.
It's hard. Yes, or slower. Slower is sometimes even worse.
Okay.
What I tend to find is most women like undershoot, way undershoot the amount of weight that they should be lifting. So again, like number one is you want to do it safely. So obviously I'm not suggesting go heavier than you can do safely, because this is a little saying that I said to myself regularly, like you want to live to train another day. So if you go too heavy and you break yourself, then you can't come back and do it tomorrow. And so they just defeated the whole purpose. So you definitely want to be able to move it safely. And then after that, I think push yourself, like go a little heavier than you think. And oftentimes, as long as you're moving safely, you can add more weight. Women really, really undershoot. I can't tell you, I probably have 1,000 reps of give me that. And I take somebody's weight and I give them the one they should have. Does that help, Raquel?
Yes, it does. I think I've underestimated my ability. And so, but I don't want to overdo it either, you know, and so I think if I go to the next, get me another set. And even if I change it out from the heavy and then go back to the light mid workout or something, I don't know.
For sure. If you no longer can move it safely, then you could always go back, you know. I don't have these because I do have a garage gym, but I really like those dumbbells that you can click in the different weight size. If you were going to invest in a piece of equipment, I think that would be a good piece because you can change the weights and it's all built into one unit. And I really think that that's cool and it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah, that'll be helpful.
Our body weight is also a really excellent source of resistance training. So we're talking about is resistance against the muscle, like weight. Our bodies are weights. And so you don't have to have a lot of equipment to start doing to get stronger. For example, working your push-ups, your squats, working on, hang on a second. That's my husband. He's in Japan. So he's calling me. He doesn't know what time it is. So any kind of body weight is actually an excellent way to start building strength. So even, for example, if your goal is a pull-up one day, hanging from the bar means that your body is the weight. Your grip, your forearms, your abdominal muscles, everything has to work hard just to hang from the bar. Not even talking about the pulling. And so our bodies can be really helpful if you don't have a lot of equipment.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions do we have? I know you guys have more questions. It could be anything about strength training.
All right, I'm going to ask a question, although I feel like if I thought about it hard enough, I should know the answer. Okay, so let's say you want to get stronger, but you're dealing with, I don't even know if we can call it an injury, but ongoing pain.
Tell me, do you mind sharing more specifically what you want to get stronger at?
Well, so low back pain, and I feel like when I try to do strength training, or at least the things that I enjoy doing in the past to do strength training. See, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking of the answer. I sometimes feel like it makes the pain worse. And here's my answer, though. I think because I only do group classes, and I'm sorry if that rain is overwhelming. It's like hail now.
It's okay. Go
anyway,
ahead.
It's probably loud. Because I'm in a group, and so I'm kind of going along with the group. I've gotten really good at modifying and eliminating and doing different things when I'm in pain. But I have a feeling that if maybe I did it, my car just told me, ice possible, drive with care. Yeah, it's ice, people. I had a feeling that if I did it kind of like on my own, which I don't enjoy doing, that I could then go at my own pace and, you know, kind of like make up my own. I don't know. Sorry, it's not really a great question.
It's a good.
I guess you're just.
It's a good question.
I really do. I want to do strength training, but I don't like to exasperate my my already ongoing issue. I'm driving home from a massage, by the way.
Good work. Good work on the recovery piece.
Yeah, for the low back pain.
So, I mean, it would be too broad for me to say that, you know, whatever your injury is, like, here's this, you know, what you should do, because it's very specific to the person. But I do think that a group strength training dynamic is potentially going to be the most difficult if you have an injury, because you're not going to be able to modify really to yourself. You're still going with the class. You're still, you know, moving at their tempo, even if you're changing the exercise. And so I think one thing to do would be to, if you like the class and you enjoy the dynamic of it, maybe adding something before or after the class that you can slow down. So some strength work that you know you need to do, that you don't feel comfortable doing in the class setting because of the tempo, add that in before or after. So it's not like adding a significant time requirement to your day. But then you can do it truly at your own pace. This is just another like tip for strength training. This is relevant to this. When we do strength training, you want to be warmed up first. And what warmed up means is that you've kind of had a little bit of a sweat broken. You break a sweat. You can do a lot of different kinds of warm-ups. And we can have a whole separate call on that. But you want to get your blood flowing and maybe break a sweat before you start doing strength training. And one of the things that people used to think you should do, but is pretty accepted now that you should not do, is static stretching before you do strength training. So for example, you wouldn't want to sit there and sit on your butt and stretch your legs out and reach to your toes and hang out there for 2 to 3 minutes. And then reach to the other side for 2 to 3 minutes and hold on to that before you do strength training. You should do that at the end. Stretching happens at the end. You can do a little bit of that, but it shouldn't be hanging out there too long. And that's kind of just something, you know, a tip. Teresa wrote, which should come first, the strength training or the weight loss? I continually wonder which I should focus on since more muscle equals more calories burned. If your goal is weight loss, you should be doing strength training. So it's actually better to do it while you're trying to lose weight because you're able to build and maintain muscle mass. And so even if you're just maintaining muscle mass, you're going to want to do some strength training if your goal is weight loss. Teresa, does that answer your question? You said, which one should you focus on first? And I think you should, if you got to do them both. And women need some form of strength training. If you haven't incorporated it yet, now's the time because we start to lose muscle mass quickly, starting in our 40s. And then once you go through menopause, it even moves faster. And we need our muscle mass. We have to kind of protect it like gold. We need to build it and protect it. And so if you're nervous about doing strength training, you definitely are going to want to use some of our resources. So we have a couple of different resources for you. Number one, on Mondays is movement call with Coach Sam. She's one of our Fitme strength coaches. You can come ask specific questions, like go through what's going on with you, get some tips and get some direction. We also have an 8-week strength program available to everybody. This is a strength program that I wrote that you can do with minimal equipment. So all you got to do is ask your coach. They can apply it to your app, and then you'll just basically be able to use it. It's available to everybody who's a client in Fitme. You can go through that 8-week strength program. We also have a basic pull-up program. So if pull-ups are your goals, we can put that in your app too. If you are part of Fitme 2.0, then you're basically getting customized strength work or movement work. And so, but if you're not yet a part of 2.0, you can ask questions. So ask questions in the Facebook group. Tori can answer it. She's our movement specialist coach, who's kind of exactly what you're talking about, Linda. How do you balance out if this is hurting, but you still want to do some strength training? And then we've got coaches who specialize in this. So if you ask, we're going to answer it for you. We'll help you, point you in the right direction so that you can get started with strength training. Any other questions before we wrap up? This is such a big topic. I feel like I have 3 or 4 other offshoot topics now that I want to do. I want to do a topic on warm up. I want to do one on exercising with injuries. I think those will be good topics for Sunday calls.
Well, am I muted?
Nope, you're not muted. You're good.
Oh.
Yeah.
So in the group strength training class, they do a warm up, but you're saying that that's not the warm up you're referring to, like strength train together. I know Amy, I saw her on here. She knows what I'm talking about. It's a MOSA program. So, so there's, let's say there's 8 tracks and they focus on a different body part on, each track, each song. The first song though, kind of moves you through movements that will make you work each body part. It's fast. I mean, it's not necessarily fast, but it's short, right? We're talking like a 3-4 minute song. So that's not, you're saying you need more of a warm up than that. Like you should hop on a treadmill and do something like you were saying that almost makes you break a sweat before going into the class.
It depends. I know both of my questions or both of your questions I answered with, it depends. It depends on how hard that class is for you and how your body feels when you start it. So for example, oftentimes if you have achy joints, you've got arthritis, the more warmed up you are, the better you're going to feel and the better you're going to move. So for example, like you've got achy knees, then doing a really good warm up before you start the class is going to allow you to get more out of the class. If you are doing a strength training program, say, for example, you're going to do some squats, you're going to do some deadlifts, you're going to do some, bent over rows, like a traditional strength thing, I would be completely fully warmed up before I started lifting. I would have broke a sweat, done some movement with my body, in some ways. But in your class setting that you're talking about, it sounds like they build in what they need you to do to be able to do the intensity of the class. So it's probably okay as long as you're feeling good when you're doing the strength stuff, and you're feeling adequately warmed up. But if not, then you're going to it won't hurt to do something extra.
It's a decent warm up, but the problem with strength train together is that the tempo is so fast, and a lot of times you cannot keep the form, especially if you have any slight injury. And so it is really hard. Linda, it's hard for people who don't have injuries. So I'm not surprised that you are really struggling to. There's a reason I didn't want to teach that class. It's too quick. It's too quick. Yeah.
I struggle because of my knees doing those kind of group classes because I need longer to warm up. I need to be able to slow things down a little bit to be able to do them properly. So it really just depends.
I think I'm just being lazy. I think I need a longer warm up too. What they do in the beginning isn't enough, and it generally doesn't. It's super short for me, and I don't feel warmed up. So
let me give you specifics of exactly how I think everybody can warm up. And this is for people who like CrossFit. This is for people who like home workout classes. Like if you have a DVD or like a YouTube video that you like, or if you like to go to a class at a gym, like you're talking about, Linda, here's what I think is the ideal warm up. You would spend 3 to 5 minutes doing something that's full body and gets you sweating. That can be jogging, that can be walking fast, that can be bike, that can be elliptical, anything where you're just like using your body to get the blood flowing. Anything you like. 3 to 5 minutes. At the end of it, you should be taking off whatever it is that you have on. Like if you had a big sweatshirt on, you're like, okay, I can take that off now. I've warmed my physical body up. And then in my ideal world, you would spend 3 to 5 minutes moving through the things that you're going to do before you add weight, before you add intensity. You might do things that resemble squatting. You're going to do things that use your knees and your ankles if you're going to be using them in class. You might do some walking lunges. You might do some joint prep. So you're going to do some circles of the joints that you're using. You might do some arm circles and hips and do some quick movement. So you're going to take all of the muscles and the joints that you're going to use and you start to use them gently and just get them going. And I would spend 3 to 5 minutes doing that. And then again, perfect ideal world, like say you were going to do some squatting, you're going to actually squat, but you're not using the weight that you're going to use in the actual workout. So you're going to almost like practice. You're looking like you're doing the exact thing, but you're not doing it. So you probably wouldn't need that last part for class, but maybe the first 2 pieces, that first 3 to 5 minutes, and then that second 3 to 5 minutes.
It's just missing the first 3 minutes, but I could do that myself. I could run around the gym or something. Anyway.
Yes.
I could do jumping jacks in place while everyone's setting up their equipment.
So. Yep. And I hate to say it, but super young folks get away with not warming up. Like when I was 17, I don't remember caring so much. And now I'm like, I need to warm up. And so, and especially if we have injuries, we want to especially make sure that we're warmed up and we get to feel out our bodies before we're doing the thing. And if we're having trouble, so here's another, I guess, last thing I'll say about warm-ups. And that's why I said this could almost be its own topic. If you mentally, you're like, I don't really feel like working out today. And you're struggling with actually following through and doing it. If you have a good warm-up routine, you can start to make that your minimum. Because if you are accustomed to, okay, I'm going to spend 5 minutes, on the bike, and then I'm going to spend 5 minutes moving my body. And then I do my workout, whatever it is. If you have a day that you're really mentally struggling with doing the workout and you can just say, well, I'm at a minimum, I'm going to commit to that warm up. 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel better at the end of the warm up and you'll go ahead and finish the workout. But if you did finish the warm up and you really, truly don't feel good, you can call it. So that's why another reason I really like having some sort of routine of warming up your body and warming up your joints. Sweet, guys. So your homework for this week is to move the needle forward 1 degree in this category. I want you to think about how can you either improve your strength training routine a little bit with something that you learned on today's call, Or if you haven't started one, I want you to have this conversation with your coach and talk about how and where you're going to put it. Again, even if it starts with body weight, I love body weight strength stuff. So that can be where you start. And again, we have lots of resources. Monday call with Sam, some of the 8-week strength programs that are written. We have 2 different choices there. We've got a pull-up program. We've got lots of resources. And then of course, in the Facebook group, just ask, or in Marco Polo, ask and a coach will help you. All right, guys. I hope you have an awesome week. It was great to see everybody's faces. If you need anything, just reach out and I will talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye, guys.